entire life story of Lord Ram, 108 names. And in the Bhakti tradition, it's generally understood that if you read the Ramayana, recite the Ramayana, there's a lot of Bhakti, Punya that comes by, a lot of pious credits that come by, devotional credits. So this Nam Ramayana is the cheat sheet. You just recite 108 names, it's like reciting the whole Ramayana. So like that, in the similar mode, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed these 100 names of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, which summarize his entire life, right from his appearance till his final pastimes. So we will discuss a few verses from this. No signal.
You just touch your screen, it should start showing up in a minute.
So what do I do?
You just touch the screen.
Touch my screen.
Yeah, usually it will come back.
Do you not need an HDMI connection?
Oh, it's not connected yet. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fine.
When did it come off?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we will recite some of these names. This is called Gauranga Shatanam. So I'll talk about three aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu: his mood, his mission, and his mercy. And we'll look at some verses which signify that. So this is a simple meter. I'll just sing it. If some of you can sing it better, then you can lead the singing and we'll recite it. So we'll look at some of the three verses we'll discuss. So the first verse more or less describes his identity. We'll go to the second verse, which describes his mood, the mood. So first is describes Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundar. So Shachi Sutta he is the son of Shachi Mata. And he is Gaurahari. He is the same Lord Hari who has come in a golden complexion. And he is also known as Nimai. He is born on a neem tree. And Nimai Sundar. So let's recite this. Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
So then, next line he says Radha Bhav. Radha is Radharani. So then Bhav. So he has taken the disposition of Radharani and Kanti, the complexion, the effulgence of Radharani. And that same Krishna is Achadit. Achadit means he's covered, he's concealed. One of the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that he's the Channa avatar. He's the hidden manifestation. So Natabar. Natabar means he is among the best of actors. Nata is like an actor. It can refer to a dancer, it can refer to actor. So he is both. So he is that divine actor and dancer who has come in the mood of Radharani's, with the disposition and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Let's try to recite this a few times. So we'll recite it. We'll recite responsibly. Would anyone like to lead this recitation? Anyone who has a sweet voice, you don't have to tolerate my voice for so long. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Hello.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Yeah, you can do it. Maybe two more times, and then we'll recite it once collectively.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Shachi Sutta Gaurahari Nimai Sundara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabara.
us together.
Sachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundara Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natavara.
So there is a divine mystery to the descent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're going to discuss about his mood, his mission, and his mercy. So with respect to the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now there is a spiritual level of reality, and there is this material level of reality. Parastasmat tu bhavamanyo. The Gita says that there is another world beyond this world, and in that world the Lord resides eternally. And then whenever there is any kind of disorder over here, so adharma, when there is disorder, disruption, destruction, that is disproportionate. In one sense, destruction and disorder are always there in this world. But when they become excessive, at that time, the Lord descends. And He descends to put an end to it. Dharma samsthapananthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So He comes as an avatar. Now, for most avatars, in fact, almost as far as we know, given in the sacred literature that we have in the Bhakti tradition, all other avatars, they come primarily because of external reasons. That is, there is some demon terrorizing the world. People have forgotten about spirituality or dharma, and they have to be reminded about it. So there is that particular reason because of which the Lord descends to this world. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only avatar, as far as our literature have told us, that where there is something internal going on in the spiritual world that prompts his appearance. And that is described. So Sachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundara, that is all describing, and we will talk about that part a little later. The Lord descends to this world. He comes, He manifests here through human parents, although He does not have human parents, but He manifests as a Leela, as a pastime. But when He is appearing over here, there is something going on at a spiritual level. And in this sense, the spiritual dynamic behind the divine appearance, behind avatar, with respect to this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, in one sense, distinctive if not unique. So what exactly is this spiritual dynamism? So this is indicated in the next verse. How does He appear? So the hint is given in the previous line, He's Gaurahari or He's Gaurasundar. He's a golden complexion Lord. So Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natabar. So it's described over here that it is the same Krishna and Radha, they are the divine couple in the spiritual world. And there is an eternal divine romance that is the center and the purpose of the spiritual world. Now, in this divine loving relationship, there is something that makes Krishna. Now, Krishna is in one sense the receiver of love, and Radharani is the giver of love. Of course, love is always reciprocal. So Krishna also gives love to Radharani. But Radharani is considered the highest devotee, not just because Krishna loves her the most. It is also because she loves Krishna the most. So, normally, whenever there is any relationship, we want to understand the other person, that relationship. Okay, what does the other person think? What does the other person feel? How do they act? So Krishna is universally in the Vedic literature, in the Vedantic literature, understood to be the ultimate reality. Sabha Sukha Sagar, Sabha Guna Agar. He is a reservoir of all good qualities. He is the ocean of all happiness. And yet that Krishna, although in one sense he is God and Radharani is the devotee. So while within their personal relationship there is not just like an egalitarian attitude. Radharani often has a higher attitude. Krishna becomes alarmed if Radharani is displeased. And Krishna goes out of his way to please her. But there is also within there is a hierarchy where Krishna is the Lord and Radharani is the devotee. And yet Krishna feels that in this relationship, Radharani is getting the better end of the bargain. He feels that actually, this is Krishna's feeling that Radharani, she is actually happier. She is happier than me. And he feels, although I am here, I want to know what is Radharani's happiness. So now, normally, there is, when we want to connect with another person, there are various degrees. There is, we can have sympathy. So if somebody is going through some distress, we try to support them in their distress. We try to help them in whatever we can. So there is sympathy, but beyond that, there is empathy. Empathy is not just when we support them in their distress, but we try to put ourselves in their position and we try to feel the way they feel. Now, sometimes we say, I understand what you're going through. Actually, it's very difficult. No one person can understand what another person is going through. To some extent, we can. But the Krishna is omnipotent. So when he wants to understand what somebody else is doing, he doesn't just go towards empathy. He goes towards that identity itself. So identity means Krishna not just tries to feel like that person, Krishna wants to become that person. So these are increasing levels of connection. Krishna, that means although Krishna is here, Krishna wants to come to the position of Radharani. And what is it that he wants to experience? So when he says that, when he feels that, okay, that Radharani is actually happier than me. So he wants to know three things over here. If we go back over here. So basically the point is that Krishna wants to become Radharani. But here, he wants to know three things. First is, what is her love for me? Her love seems to be so great. It's so extraordinary. What is the nature of that love? I just want to experience that. But then, love doesn't exist in a vacuum. Love has to be in a relationship. There has to be an object of love. Like some people, nowadays, gratitude is very much a valued virtue. People say to be grateful. Now, traditionally, gratitude is much more associated with God. We are grateful to God and we are grateful to everyone whom God has placed in our life. Nowadays, people want to secularize the virtue. They say, I'm grateful. And who are you grateful to? I'm just grateful in general. That's like somebody, in people's Facebook status, they have that, are they either single, in a relationship, married or whatever. Then somebody says, I'm married. Okay, so to whom are you married? No, I'm married in general. There is no marriage in general. Marriage has to be in particular. So similarly, love doesn't just exist in a vacuum. For love to be there has to be an object of love. So Krishna also wants to know what is so attractive in me that inspires such love in her. And Radharani has so much love for me, but what is it? It's if we take out this romantic dimension from it, let's start. Suppose somebody is looking at a painting. I say, what are you experiencing? If somebody is looking at hours for painting, looking for hours. I say, can you tell me what you are experiencing? You would be interested first of all what you are experiencing, But then after some time, I would say, okay, what is this painting about? Isn't it so like that? What is her love? And what is it in me that inspires that love? That's the second thing he wants to do. And then third thing is that what is it that she experiences when she sees my reciprocation of her love? That love, as I said, love doesn't just require an object of love. Love also requires, to some extent, the reciprocation from that object. And so you can say love can be one way, but a loving relationship has to be two ways. So when Krishna leaves Radharani and goes away, whether it is the Ras Leela for some time, or when he leaves her and goes away to Mathura and then to Dwarka, at that time Radharani's love doesn't decrease. It increases manifold. And she lives on with the hope that Krishna will come back, that Krishna will return. So that hope of that reciprocation is so great that although life is unbearable without Krishna, still she is ready to bear it all. Yes, Krishna will come back. Now, in one sense, Krishna never leaves her because Krishna is in her heart. So he is in her heart, and he goes deeper into her heart when he goes out of her vision. There is the description in the Gopal Champu that with respect to in our relationship with Krishna, there is Smriti and there is Purti. So Smriti is more of conscious recollection. We try to remember, whereas Purti is a spontaneous recollection. So we all sometimes we come in front of the deities and we pray and we try to connect with the Lord. We participate in kirtan, we sing along. But there are times when suddenly the remembrance just gushes forth from within our heart. And suddenly we feel transported. That is what people call as some spiritual experience or some experience of ecstasy or something like that. So Krishna may have disappeared from the gopis' vision, but he appeared even more in their hearts. And that's how he was present as Sfurti. And that is how also Radharani lived in the presence of Krishna. So this, when the Lord appears, he's Radha Bhava. He's trying to assume the emotion of Radharani. But he assumes this emotion, he acquires and takes on this emotion by taking on that identity. Radha Bhava Kanti. Now, there are various pastimes described about the specifics of how the form of Lord Gauranga manifests. So when Krishna tells Radharani, so there's a divine dynamic over here that in one sense Radha and Krishna, they are always united. No one can separate them. They are the divine couple. But in another sense, within their palila, within their pastimes, they sometimes get separated. So when again they are united, just like say two people, they care for each other and somehow they have to be far away from each other and they come back. When they talk about what did you do, where were you, what did you experience. So, and Krishna says that when I am away from you, the kind of love that you experience, the kind of emotion that you experience, I want to understand that. So I want to take on your mood. I want to take on your identity. And Radharani says that when you experience my emotion, you won't be able to sustain it. You will swoon in ecstasy and agony. You will fall down. She says that I cannot bear that. We know in the Gopi Gita, Radharani and the Gopis say that Nalina Sundaram Nathate padam Shilatrunakurai Sitatitina Kalilatam manaha Kanta gacchati. The gopis are saying that when you go to the forest and we think that the pebbles and the thorns and the things in the forest, they pierce your lotus feet. We feel as if our heart is being ripped apart. So I cannot tolerate that you will suddenly fall down in ecstasy. And for Radharani, Krishna's Shyam Sundar complexion is a supremely attractive complexion. So she says, just like if we love someone and we know that maybe they are feeling cold, we put a blanket around them. Somebody is sleeping and we put a blanket. If a child is sleeping, and we see them, where we feel that they may be feeling cold, we put a blanket. So she says, I will blanket you, and the blanket that I put around you is my complexion. So Krishna himself seeks Radharani's emotion, disposition. But when he tells this to Radharani gives her complexion also. So Radha Bhava Yuti Suvalitam, that Chaitanya Charan says. And same by they said over here, Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita. So when Krishna comes as Radharani, so it is that same Lord who is the receiver of devotion. Now he wants to become the giver of devotion. And he wants to experience what it is like to be in the position of Radharani. And that's why he is Achadita. Now he cannot experience being a devotee if everybody celebrates him as the Lord. That's why he comes as Achadita. Achadita is as a concealed incarnation. Channa kalau abhavas trigam tasattvam. It's in the Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, it says that you come in Channa kalau. You come as a hidden manifestation Kalila. And then Nattabara. So Radharani dances in the Ras Leela. Like that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will dance. He's a divine dancer. Radha Krishna dance together, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here, when he descends and he dances for the pleasure of the Lord. This is manifested especially in the Rath Yatra, where the Lord's dancing is spectacular and it just captivates the attention, not just of everyone present, but even of Lord Jagannath. Jagannatho pivismitaha. Chaitanya Charan says that even Lord Jagannath was astounded to see how beautiful, not just beautiful in the sense of the grace of dancing, but beautiful in the sense of the emotion that is conveyed through dancing. So that is Natavar. This is the Lord that has descended into this world. Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natavar. This is the inner dynamic by which the Lord descends. So let us, while contemplating this, recite this once again. I think all of us are comfortable, so let's try to recite it together. We'll try to recite it prayerfully 3 times, all of us together. Shachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundara Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natavara. Shachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundara Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natavara. Shachi Sutta Gaura Hari Nimai Sundara Radha Bhava Kanti Achadita Natavara. So now, when the Lord appeared in this world, in one sense, the manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quite fascinating. It goes on linearly describing the various pastimes. So we will focus on the time when the Lord starts manifesting his divine mission. So Krishna Namonmatta. So the previous verse described how Puri Shishya, he became the Shishya of Ishwar Puri. He got initiated by Ishwar Puri. And from that point onwards, he started manifesting his devotion. He had been a teacher of Sanskrit grammar before. But when he came back, he didn't see Sanskrit at all. He just saw Krishna everywhere. So Krishna Namonmatta. So Unmatta is mad. So actually the Unmad, this word comes repeatedly in describing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Premonmad, Divyonmad. So the madness of love, the divine madness. So here the similar thing comes in there. Krishna Namonmatta. That he had become mad by chanting the names of Krishna. Krishna Namonmatta and then Krishna Tattva. The supreme reality of Krishna. Krishna Tattva Adhyabhaka. He became a teacher of Krishna Tattva. So he was teaching grammar, and in grammar, especially in Sanskrit has a lot of intricate rules of word compositions, a lot of composite words, so sandhi, how words come together. And then what is the root of this word? So when one of his students asked him, what is the root of this word? And he replied, the root of everything is Krishna. And he just went in the exposition about Krishna. And then when that happened, everybody was mesmerized. See, his students were there to learn grammar, but they were there because he was teaching grammar. Their attachment to him was greater than their attachment to grammar. So he just went into an ecstatic discourse about how Krishna is the root of all reality. And then when he finished, so then he came out of the trance and he said, what did I speak? He said, Jesus spoke that Krishna is the ultimate reality. Oh, Mahaprabhu said that, I think I am no longer capable of teaching you grammar. And Mahaprabhu closed it. I am only capable of speaking about Krishna now. Capable of speaking about Krishna. So he closed his book. And his students also closed their books. We are no longer interested in learning grammar. We just want to learn about Krishna. So he became so divinely, transcendently transported that he just started teaching about how Krishna is the ultimate reality. There are many other realities, but Krishna is the ultimate reality. Krishna Tattva Adhyabhaka. He became the teacher of Krishna Tattva. And then it's not just a philosophical teaching. So it is Nama Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names together. Yuga Dharma Pravartaka. Now this is where from here his outer mission starts coming up. And we will talk about how his inner mission and his outer mission, or his inner mood and his outer mission are related. But this is the time when he, during his manifest pastimes, begins sharing the glories of Krishna. Yes. So, Prabhu would like to lead us.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
Once, all of us together.
Krishna Namanmata Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka. Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka.
So the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also quite remarkable. It's if we consider his life story, how many years did he live? He lives eternally, of course. But he manifested his manifest pastime was 48 years. Okay, so now till the age of, there are many landmarks in his life. At the age of 14 itself, he did something extraordinary. Do you remember what was it? When you're just a 14-year-old child, not a child, as a young person.
He defeated all the philosophers.
Yes, Digvijaya Darbaharpi. He defeated Keshav Kashmiri. That was what happened at that time. And he established himself as a remarkable scholar. He had already got his own grammar school by that time. And then he was just a young, you could say just a young student learning. Now normally, even if somebody is a precocious student, some kids are just prodigies. So maybe they are 15, 16 and they complete their PhD by that time. Or maybe 17, 18, whatever. They're invited. This is like a special students program, advanced students program, and join that program. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit at the time was so advanced that when he was just a kid, it was not just some kids are invited to maybe do some fellowship in some other university. But it's like he was invited when he was just a 15, 16 to be like a professor elsewhere. He became a traveling speaker. So he went from Bengal to, he Paschimottaran. So he went to the actually Purva Desha Sarva Klesha Hari, not Paschim went later. So Purva Desha Sarva Klesha Hari. He went on a tour of Bangladesh and other places at that time. And so he was already celebrated as a scholar. And then at the age of 20 was his Diksha. Because at this time he met Ishwar Puri and then he started manifesting his devotion. Now till before that he had manifested great scholarship. Now this trajectory is quite interesting. How he goes about in his life. One of the things that had happened in India was that the Advaitic teachings of Shankaracharya had gained an extreme stronghold on the general religious mind of India. All the subsequent acharyas like Ramacharya and Madhacharya had come and they had pointed out that the Vedantic teachings were something much more than the monistic ideas of Shankaracharya. But still, that had a great stronghold. And in the Advaitic scheme of things, what had happened was that Bhakti was accepted as a means to Jnana. You practice Bhakti, most people are given to emotions, most people are given to sentiments. So, okay, you be sentimental. Use your emotions, connect with the divine, and when those emotions run out of their course, then you will realize that there is something beyond those emotions. So Bhakti was not very respected. So Bhakti was often seen as something meant for the less intelligent people. And Jnana was meant for the more intelligent people. So Mahaprabhu, through his life's journey, turns this trajectory upside down. Now he starts by showing how he becomes such a great scholar. See, in the Advaitic path, in Advaitavad, there are two things which are valued a lot. One is Jnana and the other is Vairagya. So, when Mahaprabhu is in Navadvip, he manifests scholarship. He manifests peerless scholarship. So, because in every society that we live in, if we are to have an impactful message, or rather if our message has to have an impact, then at least in some ways that society has to consider us credible, has to consider us respectable. It could be for various reasons, but unless we earn the respect of people, it's not that we are craving to be famous or we want prestige, but for our message to have respect, we need to be respectable in their eyes. That's why Srila Prabhupada went to America, or rather came to America here, and then when he came back to India, oh, you are the Swami who inspired these American people to become bhaktas. You must have something special. Then Indians also took him seriously. So what Mahaprabhu does is, what is the trajectory of his life is that he first manifests scholarship and he attains the pinnacle of scholarship. So in the contemporary religious mind of his times, he would be considered respected. And then what he does is, after that, he leaves Navadvip. How does he leave? He manifests renunciation. He becomes a mendicant. He takes sannyas. So then, by both of these things, he, in one sense, attains the pinnacle of what at that time was considered religious achievement. He was a great scholar and he is now a sannyasi. He's renounced the world. What can be higher than that? So Mahaprabhu manifests all this and then he shows there's something higher. That as a sannyasi, as a great scholar, he is chanting the holy names and he is in ecstasy chanting the holy names. So what exactly is he doing over here? So Krishna, so it's Krishna Namonmatta. So it's like almost, if you consider, there is sentimentality at the bottom. You know, people who are sentimental, they get manipulated, they get carried away. There are so many people who can dupe such people. You know, to be sentimental is not very healthy. A person who sentimentally can be materially, or you could say spiritually, or in the name of religiously, they can be fooled. They can be deceived. Somebody is sentimental. So being sentimental is not very good. Now from sentimental, you rise to becoming philosophical. Now from philosophical, you rise to becoming detached. In general, the idea of philosophy is, if we understand the nature of reality, we understand that the reality of this world is transient, then there must be something higher. We become detached. And then Mahaprabhu actually manifests divine emotions. So these two might appear the same, but they are opposite. So Mahaprabhu demonstrates, so what the impersonalists were doing is, they were placing bhakti here. So bhakti is at the bottom. Okay, you practice bhakti, it's good. But you'll rise up. So Mahaprabhu established that bhakti is actually here. The rightful place is here. And Mahaprabhu demonstrated that through his life. So while he is chanting and singing the holy names, that he is very much, I said that, he becomes mad with the name, chanting the name of Krishna. He inspires others to chant the name of Krishna. But through it all, what is he doing? He's Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka. He's also philosophically establishing that he is actually the ultimate, that Krishna Bhakti is the ultimate reality. So just as Krishna is the ultimate reality in the spiritual world, but Radharani's love is so great that it attracts Krishna also. What is there in this love? So now some people may say, oh, this is just her love. She's okay, she's one among many devotees. She's not, she's the greatest among many devotees. So his internal mission was, he wants to relish Radharani's love. But his external mission is that he wants to establish the supremacy of bhakti. The supremacy of bhakti culminating in the bhakti of Srimati Radharani. So this inverting of hierarchies, the inverting of conventional means what was at that time, conventional hierarchy, is what Mahaprabhu is doing through his actions. So this is his mission. His mission is that, yes, he chants and dances, But this chanting and dancing, it may be mistaken for sentimentality. It is not sentimentality. And that's what he demonstrates. So if you see Srila Prabhupada, he emphasized so much chant and be happy. But then when Prabhupada wrote that book, Ms of Lord Chaitanya, what did he do? He focused on the great conversations that Mahaprabhu had. And all of them are philosophical conversations. They're devotion, the concluding devotion, no doubt, they're philosophical conversations. So that the mission is, as Prabhupada's name was, Bhakti Vedanta. It is not just Bhakti. Bhakti as Vedanta. So here, what happens is Bhakti is the Vedanta, the Anta, the end of knowledge. So this is what they consider to be Vedanta. That when you have Jnana and when you have Vairagya, when you have knowledge and you have attachment, that's Vedanta. But Mahaprabhu's mission is to establish that Bhakti is the ultimate Vedanta. The Vedic knowledge ends in Bhakti. So that's Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka. And when somebody is chanting the holy names of Krishna, they're chanting and dancing. Now they could be at this level also. So somebody who is chanting, those who are chanting, now they could be at this level and they could be at this level. So it's not that everybody who is chanting is necessarily evolved beyond Vedanta. But it is not that everybody who is chanting is also just being sentimental. So Bhakti, the way Mahaprabhu provides mercy is that everybody can be accommodated. But just because everybody can be accommodated does not mean that the highest level is downgraded. There is a highest level. So this is the extraordinariness of his mission. In one sense, the mission goes down to the lowest level to elevate everyone. But at the same time, the mission is also taking one to the highest level, enabling one to experience the highest emotions. So let's look at this once again. You can sing this. We'll all do it together 3 times. Krishna Nama Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka Krishna Nama Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka Krishna Nama Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pravartaka. But there's one more point I wanted to take. How many of you have some questions or some comments which you'd like to share? And I can stop here and we can have some discussion also.
I just want to make a comment that you're brilliant.
It's Mahaprabhu's mercy. So we're trying to share.
I have one question.
Please.
Thank you for everything you're sharing. You said there's a highest. Can you speak more about that? Because I guess I just have heard, the spiritual just is infinitely richer.
Okay, yeah. So when we say the spiritual is infinitely richer, in Bhakti, there is the idea of rasa. Rasa basically means refined emotion. The word has many different meanings, but one way to understand it is refined emotion. Emotion is what everyone has. But in one sense, purification is the process of our emotion becoming more and more refined. So let's take an example here to understand what the refined emotion means. Say suppose there is a female dancer. We're talking about Nattapur, the Lord in Nattapur, Radharani dances. So suppose a female dancer is doing some traditional Indian dance like Bharatanatyam. Now Bharatanatyam is very artistic, very intricate, and often depicts divine pastimes. So now when somebody is observing it, if a person's emotions are unrefined, then all that person might see, oh, this is attractive woman. And that person might just feel lust. Now, okay, that's one emotion over there. But there is so much more to experience over there. Now, if somebody has some artistic sensibility, they have artistic sense, then that same person might experience appreciation or even admiration for the skill, the expertise of dancing, the skill of the dance. So dancing is everybody can dance, but there are some people when they dance, everybody wants to keep dancing. And there are other people when they dance, you stop dancing soon. Not everybody is a graceful dancer, isn't it? Dancing is the ability to dance is also a gift. Of course, dancing is a spontaneous expression of one's devotion. But if somebody is dancing expertly and somebody knows about the intricacies of dancing, hey, this is marvelous, this is so beautiful, so graceful. So there could be appreciation of the skill in dancing. That is one level above, that is a more refined emotion. But now, if somebody also has a devotional sense, then devotional sense means not just that they are filled with devotional emotion, but they know some Krishna Leela. And then when the hands are being moved, say, the hands are being like they're doing something, no. Okay, what Leela is being depicted over there? Oh, this is Krishna and Yasoda-mai. Krishna is stealing butter and he's denying it, and Yasoda-mai is angry with him. She's trying to inquire what has happened. So then what has happened is there is devotional remembrance over there. So it's the same stimulus. The stimulus is the same, but the emotion is much more refined. So the process of rasa, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, as another book that Srila Prabhupada translated, Nectar of Devotion, it is basically a process of refining our emotions. So we all have emotions, and in this process of spiritual evolution, we could say at this stage, the emotions are unrefined. And then because the emotions are unrefined, they can often be misdirected. So somebody might come to a spiritual dance like a Bharatanatyam, and they may appreciate that. But if their emotions are unrefined, they think that is a nice dance, but then they might go to some sensually explicit dance also. So those emotions are very capable of misdirecting us. So because emotions tend to misdirect, the Vedantic path says that we just have to get rid of our emotions, because emotions tend to misdirect. So to deal with emotions, there are two distinct ways. So the Jnana Marga says eliminate the emotions. Just eliminate the emotions. And how can emotions be eliminated? Naturally, if there are two people, there will always be some emotions. We like someone, we dislike someone. There are always some emotions that come up. So their idea is to eliminate emotions means to eliminate all duality. There's only oneness. But Bhakti says that you don't have to eliminate emotions, we need to elevate emotions. So elevate is the same as refine. So it is, in one sense, the same ultimate reality that the Advaitins are experiencing and the Bhaktas are experiencing. But because the Advaitins take a particular approach, so what they experience is completely dry and devoid of any emotion. Say, if there's a romantic relationship, and say one person gives another person a flower, and say the second person doesn't get that at all, maybe they are not emotionally attuned or whatever, and maybe the second person says a botanist. and that person starts taking the flower and dissecting. Oh, this is this kind of antrusium, this kind of gynoecium, this kind of carpus, this kind of stamen. What happened over here? It's, what I was expressing was you completely missed that. So basically, there is the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality. It can be approached through analysis, and it can be approached through aesthetics. So bhakti is about approaching that ultimate reality through aesthetic. The aesthetic approach, the rasic approach. Now there is a valid way. You could look at a flower, and if you are a botanist, then you can study the flower from a botanical perspective. But in a relational context, looking at a flower from a botanical perspective will miss out on the entire purpose that the flower has been offered or what the flower has been given. So it's like a flower, you can look at it botanically, or you can look at it relationally. That means a relational context. Why is this flower being offered? So the Advaitic perspective misses out on a large aspect of reality, because their attitude is that emotions are the obstacle. Are they obstacle? Definitely they are obstacle. But the way to deal with that obstacle is not to eliminate the emotions. It is to elevate the emotions. So purification is about elevating our emotions. And when our emotions are elevated toward Krishna, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that when there's a soft heart, that the soft heart, that when it is directed towards God, that is bhakti. And when it is directed towards others, that is karuna. Karuna is compassion. So, actually thank you for asking this question, because this in one sense indirectly brought the point that I was going to say. That the mission and the mood of the Lord Chaitanya, how are they united? That same thing, his Lord Chaitanya, when he comes to this world, his heart is extremely soft in the mood of Radharani's love for Krishna. So when that love is directed towards the Lord, that is his devotion. But because he's in this world, that love is directed toward the people of this world also. And that comes as his mercy. So it's the same mood of love. That same mood of love directed towards the people of this world is mercy. And because Lord Chaitanya is experiencing such ecstasy, say we are having a feast, and if we are having a feast and there's a lot of food over there, and then we see somebody, maybe some poor child is like a scavenger scraping for some food on the street. Say, why are you doing that? There's so much food over here. Just come, I'll give the food to you. So like that, Mahaprabhu's mood is, he is experiencing such ecstasy over here in his inner dynamic with Radharani, with Radharani and Krishna basically. That when he sees people in this world, they is scraping for some little pleasure in the material world, at the physical level, through what? Through sensuality, through power, posturing, through prestige, whatever. He says that is so insignificant. He says, just come and take this. There's so much better available over here. So the sheer amount of joy that he's experiencing, that itself leads to his mercifulness. There is so much nectar here. Why are you chasing after something so trivial? That's his mercy. That's how his mercy also manifests. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? How much time do we have?
15 minutes.
15 minutes more. Okay. So let's take, the last was just planning. Yeah. So this describes Mahaprabhu takes sannyas and then he goes to Puri. And he comes to Puri. At that time, there is this very sweet dynamic. He has come with a Tridandi sannyas. He has come with a sannyas stick. But Nityananda Prabhu breaks the sannyas stick. So that's what is described is, he comes here as a sannyasi, but he is a nirdandi sannyasi. It's sannyasi without a stick. And we'll look at the significance of the past time. And then, as soon as he comes there, what Mahaprabhu achieves in Jagannath Puri is itself stunning. Jagannath Puri itself is a very respected place. At that time, much of India was under Islamic rule. So Puri was still one of the strongholds, few strongholds of the Vedic culture. And that's why there were many traditional scholars who were there. And among them, among the various scholars in Puri, Sarva Bhattacharya was the greatest scholar. And Mahaprabhu came and just in his first meeting itself, he just transformed Sarva Bhattacharya. So it's like, if you consider a contemporary sports metaphor, it's like some unseeded player comes into the Wimbledon championship and just in the first match knocks out the Wimbledon champion. And so the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charan describes it very creatively. It says that Mahaprabhu liberated Sarvabhauma from his conception of liberation. So Sarvabhauma Krupamoya. He was merciful to Sarva Bhattacharya. And all along, what is it? Swananda Aswadananda. So his own joy, the joy from remembering himself. That, now this is not in an egoistic or narcissistic sense, but it is Krishna in the mood of Radharani, and Radharani is remembering Krishna. So Swananda Aswad Anandi. The joy that is within himself is remembered. He is relishing that. And is in fact Sarva Sukhashroya. This is the greatest joy. Now Sarva Bhattacharya, we'll talk about how he was transformed. But later on he was transformed by the scholarly disposition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But before that itself, the extent of love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested, that shook him. That stunned him. So Swanand Aswadanandi Sarva Sukhashoya. Would anyone like to recite this? You can write, please.
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarva Hama Kripa Moya Svananda Asva. Oh, I'm sorry.
One line, okay. You have to follow you, okay?
Okay.
Once.
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarva Hama Kripa Moya
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarvabhauma Kripa Moya
Svananda Asva Danandi Sarva Sukham Shroya
Swananda Aswadanandi Sarva Sukhashoya.
Two more times, then we'll do it together.
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarva Bhama Kripa Moya
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarvabhauma Kripa Moya
Svananda Asvadanandi Sarva Sukhasroya
Swananda Aswadanandi Sarva Sukhashoya.
Once more, then we'll recite together.
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarva Bhama Kripa Moya
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarvabhauma Kripa Moya
Svananda Asvadanandi Sarva Sukhasroya
Swananda Aswadanandi Sarva Sukhashoya.
Together.
Nirdanti Sanyasi Sarvabhauma Kripa Moya Swananda Aswadanandi Sarva Sukhashoya.
when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he, like I said, he had already manifested jnana, but to be able to reach out to people at that time, he realized that he also had to take sannyas, because then his message would be taken seriously by others. So he took sannyas, and when he had to do that, he decided to go all the way. He actually took sannyas in the Advaitic Sampradaya. What happened at that time was, from our perspective in today's world, okay, sannyasi is a sannyasi. But it's like, if you consider somebody is a PhD, okay, that's fine, but from which university are you a PhD? Somebody might be from a university where you can just pay and get a PhD degree. And some place where it's like Ivy League, you have to work hard and get a PhD. So while the degree might be the same, the value of the degree can be very different. So at that time there were Vaishnava sannyasis also. But because Bhakti was considered to be less intelligent for less intelligent people, so in the sannyas in the Bhakti Sampradaya was not that much valued. So that's why Mahaprabhu took sannyas from an Advaitic teacher. And when he took sannyas, then he got a danda. He got a sannyas stick, the staff, which symbolizes renunciation. Now when Nityananda Prabhu saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carrying the sannyas, Nityananda Prabhu was also in one sense a sannyasi, but he never formally took the sannyas order. He was what is called the avdhut. Avdhut is a person who is so transcendental that they become transcendental even to sannyas. They just don't care even to be in that ashram at all. So when he was traveling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Navadvip, he came to Puri. At that time, Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstasy, and he gave his stick to Nityananda Prabhu to hold. And Nityananda Prabhu thought, there's a pastime. At one level, it is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the other Gaudiya literature, there's more that also describes his. He says, "This is the Lord I carry in my heart." He says, "This stick, why does he have to carry you? You are just a burden for him." So he is the supreme renunciate. He doesn't need this symbol for the renunciation. So Nityananda Prabhu took that stick and broke it. And incidentally, he broke it into 3 parts and then he threw it into the river. So then, when Mahaprabhu asked, "Where is my stick?" So Nityananda Prabhu, there's lying in the transcendental domain also. Nityananda Prabhu said, "My dear Lord, you were in ecstasy and you jumped high up, and when you fell on the stick itself. And the stick broke." And now, what happened is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in one sense, Nityananda Prabhu is older to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there is a little bit of respectful attitude. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got angry with Nityananda Prabhu, but he did not expect to get angry. He says, as sannyasi I had nothing, and the only position I had, you took it away from me. He says, if I stay with you, I don't know what you will take away from next. So he said that, I won't travel with you. You go ahead, I'll come afterwards. He said, Mahaprabhu, the devotee said, "Mahaprabhu, we cannot travel ahead of you." And Mahaprabhu said, "I'll go ahead." That's how Mahaprabhu went alone ahead. Now, Nityananda Prabhu, what he was also thinking is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Lord. And as Supreme Lord, there are also levels of sannyasis. And the highest sannyasis, they say that there's no need for them to even carry a staff of renunciation. Their renunciation is so self-evident that they don't need to proclaim it. Like some people, they are so learned that they don't even have to tell that they have a PhD or not. Now some people are not learned, they have to tell I have a PhD, respect me. Like that. So not necessarily like that, but it's just that some people, so his renunciation is so self-evident. Why does he need a staff at all? So, in one sense, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was already at that level, but Nityananda Prabhu's actions put him at that level externally also. So Nirdandi sannyasi indicate that he was the topmost renunciate. So it's also described earlier that in the same series of verses, there's another verse which says that he is. Where is that gone? Yeah, Parivraja Shiromani. That among those who are traveling mendicants, Shiromani, he's the greatest of them. So Parivraja Shiromani, Utkala power. Utkala is the Orissa area. Mahaprabhu purified it. But anyway, Nirdandi Sannyasi. Now when he came to Jagannath Puri, in one sense, Mahaprabhu has just taken sannyas, and this is the first major place that he comes to. He passes by various places, and he has many sweet and even dramatic pastimes at those places. But when he comes over there, as soon as he comes into the temple of Jagannath, he just swoons in ecstasy. He just falls over there. Now, when this happens, it seems that the sentimental kind of devotion, which later came in a Sahajiya devotion, that was prevalent over there also. So when he swooned in ecstasy, the attendants of Jagannath thought this is just a sentimental show off. And they were prepared. They were prepared to maintain order, so they were about to just pick him up and throw him out of the temple, carry him out and put him aside. But Sarva Bhattacharya happened to be passing by. He was one of the biggest scholars of that place, and he had come to Jagannath temple for darshan. See, now even the Advaitins, they may be Advaitins, they also recognize Bhakti as an important thing. And there are some Advaitins who will outright condemn Bhakti. But they are few. What they say is that the vast majority of people are less intelligent, and therefore they need to practice Bhakti. And they won't practice Bhakti if we don't set an example of practicing Bhakti for them. So although they may think, many times when you go to Advaitic temples or Advaitic centers also, they will have some deities, they will have some bhajan. But their idea is, this is all good for people. But the ultimate truth is something else. So Sarva Bhattacharya was quite learned. And when he saw this sannyasi falling down ecstasy, he said, stop. Something looks off. It doesn't seem to be a sentimentalist. And then he looked, and then he saw that he brought a thin swag of cotton cloth or something like that. He had put it in his nose. There's practically no breath over there. He said, this person is really in ecstasy. This person is not faking it. And as you observed more, this is a very elevated level of ecstasy. Now we wonder, if they consider all emotion to be false, then what is the idea of elevated level of ecstasy? See, over the years, Mayavad also, impersonal also become very sophisticated. So their idea is that the impersonals also say the gopis' love for Krishna is the highest. They also have this idea of the 5 rasas. They accept that. They say among these various rasas, the gopis is the highest. And no one can be as close to the ultimate reality as somebody who's a romantic lover of the ultimate reality. Somebody is in the Madhurya conjugal rasa. And then there is only one rasa higher than that. And that is becoming one. So they accept the hierarchy that we talk about, but they just place Advaita on top of that. So from his perspective, what Mahaprabhu was experiencing was something extraordinary. This is somebody special. Just take him to my house. So he says, we'll wait and what happens. So then he takes him to his house and he keeps him there. And then because Mahaprabhu has gone alone ahead, his associates come searching. And there's a very sweet discussion, a bittersweet discussion between him and Gopinath Acharya. And then when Sarvabhauma says that, okay, who is this person? And he's okay, he's sannyasi. Then he says, okay, see, even among Advaitic orders also there are different orders. So he says, okay, why is he taken sannyas in that order? He's already a great, very evolved person. I can give him sannyas in a higher order. Now, it's interesting that while this might seem to be presumptuous, but underlying it all is a service attitude. That he is thinking, he is such a great sannyasi, he should deserve the respect that he merits. And he would get that if he is a sannyasi in a higher order. So I can give him that. And then because he is a sentimentalist, or rather, he sees Mahaprabhu being filled with divine sentiment, but still sentiments. So he says that you're so young when you're taking sannyas. So you need to study Vedanta. And now you say that he's already sannyasi. He just started saying, I'm a self-appointed teacher. I'll teach you Vedanta. It's not like that. He actually has a paternal attitude towards him, somewhat. He says, for your good, I'll teach you Vedanta. And now some of Mahaprabhu's associates are almost, they are like bursting with anger. Who do you think you are? This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu is Bhavagrah. He appreciates the service attitude. And this whole pastime is extremely important actually. Sometimes people may place us in their own categories. And maybe in their categories they put themselves higher, they put ourselves lower, whatever. But if there is even a little bit of good in them, that's what is to be appreciated. So, we know Prabhupada here in Lower East Side, he was giving a class and some person was high on drugs. He came and he brought some tissue paper. And during the class itself, he disturbed everyone and he got up and he went and gave the tissue paper. And now Prabhupada could have yelled at him, I'm giving a class over here, why disturb me? But Prabhupada saw that spark of goodness. He said, see, everybody has service attitude. He has got this. So this is Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada was manifesting the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See what is good in everyone. So he saw that. And Sarvabhauma said, you are a sannyasi, so you should be in an elevated position. See, he was also aware. So he put Mahaprabhu in an elevated position, but he started speaking Vedanta to him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard attentively. He didn't respond at all. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while speaking, he had shown signs of inattention, or boredom, or distraction, or he just gone to sleep. That would have annoyed Sarvabhauma. But Mahaprabhu gave him his undivided attention. And that itself further softened his heart. And then he said, I've been speaking for so long now, for 7 days I've been speaking. I don't know, I don't understand whether you understand. So you're not commenting, you're not speaking, you're not asking, what is going on? And then with great politeness, Mahaprabhu bought like an uppercut, He said, I understand Vedanta, I just don't understand what you are saying. He says, the Vedanta is like the sun, but your words are like the shadow obscuring the sun. So now this, at one level, could have been seen as arrogant, but because Mahaprabhu's demeanor till now had been so humble and sweet, when he spoke this also, this did not come off as arrogant. He was taken aback. But he said, okay, if you feel you have a better explanation, you can share that. You can tell it. And then, when Mahaprabhu started explaining the Vedanta Sutra, Sarvabhauma was very learned. See, generally, if somebody is an honest scholar, many times what happens in any philosophy that we adopt, see, there is the reality of the philosophy and there is the posturing about the philosophy. The posturing is, we have all the answers. But we are finite souls. Even the philosophy is perfect, our understanding of philosophy is not perfect. And so nobody can claim to have all the answers. Like the whole Bhagavad Gita says that even the enlightened souls are enlightening each other. The point I'm making is that everybody, even if whatever philosophy they espouse, if they are really serious and honest scholars, they know there are some holes over here. Now they may work very laboriously to cover those holes and try to, still this is the best explanation that we have. So let's go ahead with it. But he was an honest scholar. And when Mahaprabhu gave his explanations, he realized this is a far better explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. This is much more faithful to the text. This makes much more logical sense. gives a much more holistic understanding of reality. But then he was just stunned by that expression. So that intellectual explanation would, if given earlier, if there had not been the background of that relationship being built, then that intellectual explanation would have simply led to confrontation. And that would just have alienated people. It's like, two intellects can interact with each other, they can even confront each other. But if those two intellects, behind them are two egos, then that collision, it doesn't lead to anything constructive. It just makes people ground down into their own opinion more and more, like dig their own trenches. They dig their own heels, as they say. They just don't change. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. But because Mahaprabhu had demonstrated that amanina amanadena, you are a learned person, you are my well-wisher, you are like my father, and I'm just young. He had demonstrated amanina amanadena. That's why Sarvabhauma's heart was transformed. And that's how Sarvabhauma became transformed. So Mahaprabhu's mercy was not just on the masses where he inspired all of them to dance. His mercy was also on the Advaitins, that he approached them in a way that would transform their hearts and their heads both. Because for them, the way to the heart was only through the head. So Mahaprabhu touched their heart a little bit initially, but then he also transformed their head. This is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's both inclusive in the sense that everybody can be swept up in the loves of God, in the waves of love of God. But it is inclusive, but it's also very esoteric. It is something which can take everyone, or at least those who are ready to put in the effort, to the highest level of ecstasy of love of God. And Srila Prabhupada had that same mood and vision. Srila Prabhupada came to the West and traveled all over the world. Prabhupada wanted everyone to chant, but Prabhupada also wanted us to study the philosophy. He wrote his books and he wanted us to enter into this whole world of devotional scholarship so that we can, according to whatever audiences we face, present Bhakti in a way that the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can reach everyone. So I'll summarize what we discussed. So we discussed 3 main points. Anyone remember the first point? 3 M's it was. Mood, the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is, yes, mood, so Krishna and Radharani. So Krishna comes to the level of Radharani. Why? Because he wants to understand what is the nature of her love, what is it in me that inspires such love, and what is the ecstasy that she experiences when she says that I reciprocate with that love. So this level of connection, it is not just sympathy, it is not just empathy, but it is identity. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes on the mood of Radharani. And not just the mood of Radharani, but Radharani gives him her complexion. And that's how Shyama Sundar becomes Gaur Sundar. And then we discussed about the mission. So the mission, in one sense, also spread chanting of the holy names, but we also, as we discussed, Krishna Tattva Adhyapaka. So this hierarchy that we discussed, there is sentimentality. This is like unrefined emotion. And this is definitely an obstacle in the spiritual path. And the Advaitic idea is you get jnana, and then you get knowledge, and then you get detached. And their idea is this is perfection. If you get these 2 things, then this is perfection. That is Advaitic idea. But Mahaprabhu got both of these. He became a great scholar just at the age of 14. At the age of 24, he took sannyas. But after going through all of these, he demonstrated that there is divyonma, there is a divine madness. This is supreme emotion. So there's that bhakti is. So bhakti can be seen to be here, but bhakti is ultimately here. So Mahaprabhu demonstrates this. So by his trajectory, he is demonstrating the supremacy of devotion. And that supremacy of devotion, there is the supremacy of ultimately the love of Krishna, love of Radharani for Krishna. So we discussed a soft heart. So this was the mission. The last part was the mercy. The mercy, soft heart directed towards God, is devotion, it is bhakti. And that is directed towards others is compassion, is karuna. So because he is relishing such ecstasy, Swananda Swadana, he is experiencing an ocean of happiness, he thinks, okay, why are you so deprived? He just wants to share that ocean with everyone. And now at one level, we could say there are those who are behaviorally fallen. That means, Jagai and Madai, where people who were very far away from the Lord's mercy, and the Lord gave that mercy to them. That's dramatic, that's extraordinary. But those who were also intellectually alienated, intellectually distanced. So those were people like Sarvabhauma. And Mahaprabhu, by the sweetness of his demeanor, by his amanina manadena, that conduct, he actually softened their hearts and then transformed even their heads and their hearts. So Mahaprabhu in this way gave his mercy to everyone. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Purnima Maha Mahotsav ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. Thank you very much.